Hello everyone and good evening. Here we are again at Sterling Fine Art in my little studio and otherwise known as the boiler room. So if there's a sound of a large jet engine going over your house at any point, it's because the boiler's kicked in, so I do apologise beforehand. Anyway, so without further ado, what I wanted to get into today was this next piece that I'm working on. I've already started some work on it. I will show you in a moment. I've already started some work on it, and hello darling. And I sort of got to a bit of a stage with it where I just wanted to give it a rest because it wasn't really quite going the way I wanted it to. So I just sort of left it for a while, and I carried on with the piece that I was working on last week. So I'll just show you. That's how far we got with it overall. So there you go. You can see that. Isn't that beautiful? So that's almost finished, but I now need that to dry off so as I can varnish it. And then when I've varnished it, then I will put some gold leaf on. Gold leaf. Very exciting, very nerve-wracking. Lot of YouTube videos on how to do that. But I've done a little bit of a practice as well, but there's nothing quite like actually getting down and doing it yourself. Anyway, so that's going to be done in the near future. This week what I want to do is progress the piece that I just told you about that I initially left. Again, I'm going to prepare this for gold leaf. So there's an area on there which I need to leave off. So what I'll do is just turn you around slightly so as you can actually see the artwork. There we go, in all its glory. That's better. So that's the piece. What I've actually done is can't quite see it because it's in very light. Well, all around there. There's an area that I'm going to leave tonight in this session because that needs to be painted red, because the gold leaf apparently really booms when there's red paint behind it, which is quite a very old-fashioned way of making the gold leaf really stand out and giving it a bit of oomph. So what I've actually also done is, you can't quite see where the camera is at the moment, but I've actually also got a reference of a painting by a wonderful artist called Mark Spain. And he's got a background colour and a background sort of graduation that I really like. So with that in mind, that's what I'm going to add to this piece tonight. Now you can see that already I've got quite a bit of, I've got some paint on the brush already. I've got quite a bit of graduation here, going down from a deep purpley red at the bottom, coming up to like sort of a lavender type colour at the top. But I'm going to paint over that because I'm not happy with the way it's coming out. It looks very similar to the previous painting, so I just want to keep a little bit of variation in there as well as providing a sort of an overall theme through the artwork. So I've already mixed up some colour. I've used some burnt umber and some alizarin crimson, which is easy for me to say. Basically that's red and brown. So I'm getting a deep red. So, and with a bit of medium. I don't want too much medium on this because it makes the paint too light, too transparent, too translucent, I should say. So here we go. Let's get a move on. Let's get painting. So if I had to press on relatively heavily with this, because if I don't, then it doesn't actually get into the nub of the canvas. And as you can see, because there's some medium on this, it's actually moving quite freely on the canvas, which, to be honest with you, that's not exactly what I want. But this is going to end up acting like a second underpainting. And as you can see, I can actually vary that as well by loading the brush up quite heavily. Just going to move that top clamp out of the way because it's just going to get in my way in a minute. Oops. Try and do things one-handed, never works. So there we go. So you can see quite heavy. Quite. So just mask that. There we go. A lump of paint. Bit of impromptu impasto, shall we say. So now when the gold gets on this, it's really going to ping. The gold's going to, you'll see it all form as I start to come around. Just thinking about it, what I think I ought to do, what I will do is I'm going to break up. I want this to come down to, let's say, about sort of there, and sort of about there. And then the next piece is going to be a lighter red. I want that about sort of about down to about here. Where should we go? I've got that bit at the bottom. I've got a bit at the bottom which is going to be like a red come dark right across there. That bit. And then I'll have a much lighter piece up to about the top of there, so I'll leave that as it is. And I'll bring that down to the top of that, just around about the top of that column. And you can just about see there, I've already masked off the column. So as I don't get loads of dark red paint all over it. Because if I do, it's going to be a nightmare to paint over. To the same degree, I don't want to go over what I've painted for the body so far. So I'll just keep that in there. I'll just follow this line around. In fact, what I think I'll do, I'll just come around there like that. Just keep coming around. Into there. Now you can see the circle, can't you? Now you can see the circle. So that's all going to be gold. Woo! Shiny gold. How nice. So let's get a bit more. Oops. Doesn't matter, that's going to be painted in a red colour anyway. Probably a dull red, like a Mars red or something. Something quite dull, really, because it just gives it a sort of background. Hi, Em. Gives a sort of background to it. Thanks for popping by. Thanks for joining in. So yeah, that should make it ping nicely. A touch of medium on that. I want it to move a bit more than it is, but not too much. I don't want it going too thin. This, by the way, this brush, see that there? This is a filbert brush. As you can see, it's got a nice round edge to it. Not like last week, where I'd got well, I got the very thin rigger brushes for painting the detail and such, that sort of stuff. Obviously that'd be no good on this because it's too thin and too narrow and just wouldn't work. And I'm slightly starting to run out of paint. Well, not run out of paint, but run out of paint on my palette. So might have to mix some more in a moment. A bit more artistic there. It's a bit too boring. And be careful as well. I don't want it all to sort of look the same. Got variation in it. So I want it to just be a really broken sort of abstract background, and so all the focus is on the woman on top of the column. Of course, the gold will give you that anyway, but that's where I want the focus to be. And just block that in a bit better. A little paint on my brush. So this is all a bit alien to me because, well, apart from standing in front of my telephone, how old do I sound? standing in front of my mobile and talking to people is a bit strange. Because you can't actually, I can't actually hear what you're saying. I can see what you're typing. But doing this without any music on, because at the moment I've not sussed out about playing music when you're doing a live video. I've still got to look up that, yeah. Millions of things to do. But I'm not too sure. I know some people do. They have music on and they credit it at the end of the video and stuff. But just don't want sort of, you know, Geffen music coming after me for rights for not actually having a license and all that sort of stuff. There we go. That's got a nice vibrancy, a nice feel to it. Unfortunately, I didn't run out of paint, so I'm just going to bring that down a bit more so it's not like a straight line, because we don't want straight lines on this. We've got straight lines there, that's it. So I'm just going to bring that down there a bit further. And I've done what I always forget to do. Forgot to paint the sides. But I'll do that later. That wasn't a particularly difficult mix of paint, so I can paint. I can mix that again later. Just come round there. There we go. So now I want some more paint, so I'll get some more crimson. That one. A bit more of that. I'm going to bring it a bit, make it a bit brighter. I could just put this on as it is, because I haven't darkened it off with the browns. Quite a dark red anyway. You can really get an idea for the colour there. Really quite dark. It's a lovely colour. Really deep red. Just put the top back on that so I don't squirt all out all over the place everywhere. And I'll clean my brush, so a bit of clean the brush off in my white spirit, because I don't want that to taint what I'm about to do now with the red, and get a bit of red on the go. Now at the moment that's not looking, whilst that is different, it's not different enough. So I obviously didn't put a great deal of brown in the last mix, and I thought I did. So I'm going to have to put a brighter red with that to bring that. I don't want to put white with it to lighten it off, because if I do that it's going to go all pink. And that won't be good, because I don't want pink there. Got to graduate into the pink. So this is the other thing as well, you see. Hang on, you can look at me for a bit. There we go. And I'm back. That's the other thing, if you just keep sticking white on everything, then it just goes into a bit of a mush. You can go, you're a bit on the squiff, aren't you? There we go, sorry about that. You can just go all, and you can go too pink, or you can go too mushy, or if you're not careful, it all looks the same sort of colour. So, if I put a bit of a lighter red onto that, and blend that in on the brush, that will also give me, hopefully, a bit of graduation. So I'm just going to put you back to there. There we go. Well, that's different already. That's better. And because I've now mixed a different red into that, this red has got better opacity, and it's a lot thicker. So when it goes on, it's not so translucent. Bring that down there. So if I get a bit of medium on that, just so as I can follow the body around, so I can then just bring that down there. Careful bit. It's a bit like stick the tongue outside my mouth and concentrate. That's far enough down there. There we go. Look how lovely that is now. It's really nice and thick. See up the top here, you can see, because of the way the light's gone off the overhead light, you actually see that it's you can almost see through it in places like there. But if you come down to here, it's so thick but it really covers the canvas, which is excellent. The only problem with that, you've got to be careful that you don't lose your brush strokes, which is why I'm just blending that in with the paint, 2 different paints on the brush, because that way then you're just picking up the 2 different, slightly different colours, and it looks more artistic, a bit more arty-farty, as some would say. What it does do is it gives you contrast, it gives you difference, it makes your eye look at it in a different way, and that's what this is all about. Looking at things slightly differently. You know, be careful. I don't want to cover up all the good brush strokes. So it's the thing with this. You've got to once you get a good brush stroke, you've got to leave it on there, because they're like gold dust. Because it's a variation. It's another variation into the actual overall piece. I'll just bring that down the front of her leg, down her shin, and the top of her arm, onto the top of the thigh. Some of that song, don't I? Leg bone's connected to you, whatever. Pull that into there. I'll do that a bit neater later when I've got a smaller brush. That's not looking too bad, I'm quite liking that. So that's enough of the dark stuff. In fact, I've got quite a bit on my brush, so I'm just going to get rid of the bit that's going to mate into there. So there we go. So just wallop that onto that. So I have done one side, part of one side. There we go. Just on this side as well. This is the thing with the box canvas. I don't always, but it's a regular occurrence. You look at your painting, that's amazing, I love that, it's fantastic, and then all of a sudden, oh, hi Malk, how you doing, mate? You all right? Juliet, good evening. How you doing? All of a sudden, you look at the side of the painting, oh no. And that was an awkward mix of paint, and I've got to get a bit of this and a bit of that, and then it takes your age to blend that bit into this bit. But hey, whatever, such is life. Such is life. So I like the way that's just come down there. I'm just going to get a bit more mix on that. There, like a bit, maybe a bit in there, a bit, whoa, bit that there. That's nice. I like that. Just bring that up there a bit. Just blend that into there a bit more. So what I've also got now on this reference piece is what are you saying, Juliet? It's so fascinating watching you paint and listening to you. Love how the piece is evolving. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's good to know. Yeah, it's what I love about it. I absolutely love it. The way you just start off with a blank bit of canvas, and as you're actually doing it, you don't really realise until you go make a cup of tea, or pop into the room, make sure that my wife's still there, she doesn't run off, and then you come back and have a look at it again fresh, and it's all like something's happening, and it's all thank you, and it's all sort of changed and it's developed a bit, and it's just absolutely fascinating. And I love this also, just doing this kind of painting, because, excuse my head getting away, because it's just very, very free, and you're just sort of slapping it on, but you're doing it in an artistic way, darling. I'll stop being silly and try and be more professional, but I do find it hard, I've got to be honest. So I'll just keep blocking that in, because that can get developed at a later stage. That's a lovely sound, can you hear that? Oh, that sounds fascinating. A bit of, I don't know what these are made from actually. What are they made from? Doesn't say. I'm going to say badger hair, but that's a shaving brush, and it's definitely on a shaving brush. But you got these bristles, artificial or otherwise, and against some cotton canvas. It's just the interaction of it all. It's just fascinating. So now's the time, he says. Now's the time for the white. Bam, bam, bam. He's going to get the white paint out. Oh my god, what's going to happen now? Anything can happen in the next half hour. So, something I use a lot of, white paint. Loads of it. Loads of it. I'll get some whites. You can't see what I'm doing here, so I'm going to have to talk you down, as it were. So, like, nice big dollop of white. And I'm going to use the red paint that I was just using, which is Scarlet Lake. Sounds like a 1950s movie star. That's Veronica Lake. I'm getting mixed up again. I'm getting carried away. So I'll have a bit of the red, and we'll get a bit of the white. Pull that off, stick it in there, in the red, mix it around a bit, and that's quite a nice. That's quite a nice light red, dark pink. So that should be a contrast to what I've got there. I'll clean the brush off again because I don't want what I've just painted with to cloud up the rest of the paint. I don't know if you can see this, but the brush there is still quite tainted with the red. And you can see just on them, and this has been, I've just washed this off in the turf, so there's still a lot of red on that, so I'll have to clean that off again. In fact, what I think I'll do is I will, it says, throwing this paint down there, I will use another brush because I don't want that brush to taint what I'm doing. So I'll actually, for the first time in ages, I'm going to use a proper oil painting brush. Look at that. A Georgian, Dalarani Georgian, no doubt. And this again is a filbert, so you can see that there you go, nice round edge to it. So I'm going to use that because, as I've just said, I don't want the other paint to taint what I've already put on. Now, I'm going to pull this up into there. Look at that. That's beautiful. And I've got to be careful with this because this is quite a big brush. Oh, look at them brush marks. Marvellous. And I don't want to have just just a colour there. It's got to have, colour's got to have some texture to it. So I'll be quite rough with the brush. And I can just sort of spread it all out, all around that area. I'm going to bring it up into there a bit. There we go, a bit more there. And getting the double colour coming through there off that. I've got to link that to there, so I can't have bits flying around by itself. It's got to be tied in somehow. I'm liking the look of this. This is a lovely colour. Lovely. Pull that down there a bit. Can you hear that? Oh, real scratching. So these bristles on this brush, so the last brushes that I was using, they really are an acrylic painting brush. So they're quite soft. But this is a proper oil painting brush, so it's really quite hard. It's the hardest brush that you use artistically, he says. Hoping nobody shoots him down because he's just said the wrong thing. Just pull that down there and the front of the leg. Got a foot in there somewhere, I can't quite see. I think it's just going right down there. So I'm just going to pull that down there. Now what I want to do is going to bring a bit of the other reds in. So as I've got a bit more white. So as I've got some there we go, all variations we want. Variety is the spice of life, so they say. A bit more of that there. That's nice, I'm really liking that. So I knew I should have masked the top of that column off. So I'm going to get a bit more white on there, onto that. So you can see by the way that the canvas is moving as I'm painting. But it's actually, I'm really putting quite a bit of force onto this because I just want the bristles to have quite an effect on what I'm doing. I want them to show through, if that makes any sense to anyone. So you can see this piece is going to be massively vibrant when it's finished, because all this strong red and pink I've got on it. So I've got to leave that there. That just looks lovely. That's beautiful. I love the way that's just really got the different colours mixed into it. You can see it there. I've even still got a bit of the underpainting coming through off that, which is fab. Just realised as I'm saying all this, as I'm rabbiting on, that my passion and enthusiasm is just overflowing, darling, for this. It's just, you really do get such a thrill out of doing this, such a kick out of attacking the canvas with your brush in just sort of, you know, quite a loose way of painting. It's just wonderful. It's just absolutely wonderful. There we go. Bit of that in there. Bring that into there. In fact, I'm just going to put it on that way so I can't direct the brush too easily. That way. Bit of white, bit of red. That way then. There we go, lovely. I can't get too accurate with it. This is Jade, by the way. I don't think I introduced us to Jade. Jade's a lovely ballerina based in Birmingham, and this reference I'm using is of Jade, the ballerina. Same lady that I painted the previous week. Ooh, got a bit there. I'm going to get that. What am I going to do with that? I'm going to leave that as it is. So yeah, she very kindly let me paint her, so to speak. Pull that down and just fill in some of the holes. There's just tiny little holes in the paint where it hasn't quite got to the bottom of the canvas, just down there. Just clean that out so it doesn't look like I've done what I've just done. Well, there we go, that's looking marvellous. I am liking that a lot. I am liking that a lot. Just whack that in there, cut that, okay. Same on the other side, make sure I don't get them on the camera so you can see what I'm doing. There you go, look at that. Bring a bit that down there. Lovely. Need to work on that a bit, I think, more, I think, when it's dried. Because I like the way this paint's gone on down the bottom. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make that even lighter, because across sort of that sort of area, this sort of area here, I want it to be a really sort of creamy sort of texture, sort of creamy sort of look to it, you know. So I'm going to use a different colour. That brush can get cleaned off again. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to use white again with, God, stain that brush. So that brush has been cleaned, would you believe it? I'll just clean that off. Get it pink or anything. That's how strong the paint is. We're using quality paints, decent oil paint. And it's got a lot of pigment in it. It's got a lot of strong pigment. Just clean my palette knife off so I can mix without mixing the wrong colour in. And the strong paint just stains everything. So as well as painting the canvas, you're actually staining it, and you get the brush holds it really well. So nice dollop of yellow ochre or yellow ochre to any of my American friends who are watching. Another nice dollop of white, a nice dollop of titanium white. So there's another thing I didn't realise when I started doing all this malarkey, is that there's all these colours. You can't just get a red and a blue and white. You can have titanium white, you can have zinc white. You can used to have lead white with lead paint in it. Obviously can't get that anymore. And the whites, just they do look slightly different. Then you can get ivory black, jet black. All the blacks look slightly different. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. Crazy but true. So I'm going to get some yellow ochre into that white. And because I've got a dirty palette, the white's very close to some black, and that's a bad idea for this painting. So we don't want any of that going on. Tempted to go and sort myself a new palette out, because this one, it's just too old now. I've had it for ages. It's just a piece of Formica, and it's just a little bit dented now, and it's just not doesn't clean up too well, and so I think it's time to go and get another decent bit of Formica from B&Q or somewhere. Another kitchen offcut, which should last me for a few years. As long as I keep it tidy and keep it clean. I'm going to need some more white out. You can't see this, but I'm doing this off camera. But I just need, there to be, I think I'm going to go with that. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to go with what I got there. I have the really white stuff. The really white stuff. When I come to the end, I'm going to use another oil painting brush here. So there we go. Julie, what are you saying? All the different reds are amazing and look so different when mixed with white. Don't they just? Don't they just? It's very nervy at the top of making it too pink. The pinks, I want the pink there. So it's almost like she's a woman on top of a column on a pedestal. I'll have you maybe. This gold thread, and I'm going to make it look quite angelic. So it's almost like the creation of woman, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see. I haven't got a title for this piece yet, so I'll just have to see what takes my fancy. Anyway, I'm going to wax some. I'm going to artistically place some of this on there. I'm a bit nervous because it's a different colour altogether. That'll be fine. So what I've got to be careful of now is I don't want this all to mix together too much. And what I probably should do, but I'm so impatient that I won't, probably should do is wait for this underpainting to dry a bit. Whoa, look at that. Let's get it on like that. So that's just not really giving the effect that I want, because I'm just blending in, even though I've got yellow ochre in it, the basic amount of white is taking it down to a pink level. But if I don't put too much of it on, it gives me like a border to work the other colours around. That is definitely different. Getting a bit over there, so I can actually go over where I've masked it, so it looks like the columns are really in front of it. So there you go. It's going to be really spiritual with the gold. Yeah, thank you. That's kind of, yeah, that was sort of at the back of my mind really, but I'm absolutely fine with that. Absolutely fine with it. There we go, that's that. I like that bit round there. I like that. I like all the paint mixing on the brush. I've got a little touch there. Put that in there. So I need to bring that end up there, but I haven't got much more. I didn't mix too much of that paint, so just be careful what I'm doing here. Don't forget the sides. Don't forget the sides. He cries. Well, because he always does. I also love the fact that I'm holding the brush like this. I'm just jabbing at it. Like I'm fencing with the painting. But it's beautiful. It's just wonderful. That's a bit too thick there. I like it. I wish it wasn't sticking up so much. Don't know what to do with that really. No, I'll leave it. I'll leave it. So, bring that down and a little bit more. Sort of bring that, sort of gently sort of work those two together. He says, he attacks the canvas some more. So I want that. So I don't want the pink to just sort of sit on top of that dark red. Don't think you can scratch it quite see what I'm doing this bottom corner. But I want it to sort of blend in a bit more. So bring the red up a bit, bring the pink down a bit. And that will do for that. Got quite a nice stroke there, a couple of nice strokes. I'm going to leave those alone. I think I'm not even going to touch them. They sort of, they balance that bit there, balances this bit extra. It's all about balance as well. You've got to be careful. You don't want it all being to this or to that or to the other. Zoe Edmonds is watching. I should think so too. It's about time he turned up. Where you been, all? I mean, come on. He says, looking at the watch he hasn't got on his wrist. It's atrocious behaviour for my daughter. Anyway, so that really is about as far as I can take that with that coat of paint. So I'll just put the camera out just a little bit further away so as I can get the piece in. Oh, hello again. So there we go. So that's that, and that's where we are tonight. You can see from a bit of a distance, I'll just tip that, there we go. So the light's not reflecting straight on it. You can just see the graduations on that. That's pretty much perfectly what I was aiming for. So that's lovely. That's going to have to be left for a few days because that last bit of yellow ochre that I put on, that's quite thick there. It's just shouting at me to do something with it. I'm not quite sure to leave it because that'll take a while to dry off and I want to paint over that. So, he just spotted something. Something that I do frequently, which annoys me to death. What I've done. All this talking makes your throat dry. What I've done, or what I haven't done, let's just see if I can point it to you. I'll do this a lot. Just there is background. And I've missed it. You normally get like an arm comes across something and you get like a little bit of, just a bit, not there, right in the middle, see? Bit of background. And you forget painting until right at the end and then you start losing your temper. So, what colour have I got there? Darkest of reds that I've put on. I just need to get something on there just to block that in. That ain't going to be easy now because one, I've hardly got any paint, and two, I've hardly got any paint. Doesn't matter too much if I go over the flesh tones because that can just be sorted out later. There we go. Sorted. Sorted. Right. So. There we go, another episode, another day in the life, another half an hour in the life of Sterling Lee Fine Art. Thank you very much for taking time to come and watch. John Craddock, how you doing, Mr. Craddock? Not seen you for ages. So yeah, that's as much as I can get done with that. As you can see, I've filled the canvas up, and it needs to dry off a bit before I can do any more. And yeah, there we go. I hope that's been informative stroke entertaining stroke other yeah. See you again next week. Next week something massive next week, well for me anyway. I actually was approached by this lady. Basically sent me an email regarding an exhibition in America, and there's a virtual exhibition in America, and I've been accepted for it, and that's happening a week today. It's silly o'clock because it's in America. It's like 11 o'clock at night, and that's going to be on YouTube. And so I'm not going to be there. My artwork is, and they're going to put my artwork up, and they're going to talk about it, and they're going to this and that. Anyway, that's next Thursday. And so if you keep an eye on my Facebook page, I will drop a link in when I get the YouTube video link, which is going to be on YouTube. So that'll be really good. But anyway, but I will also be doing this again next week. As I said last week, this is something I want to do every week now. And long may it continue. What have we got going on there? Thanks so much. Totally enjoy this. Cheers, Julian. Not a problem. Thanks, my darling. Thanks, my darling. Cheers, Sam. Yeah, there we go. So I hope it's been fun. I've had fun. I hope you have. I hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully I'll see you next week. Cheers.